Hey guys, stuff the intro. Honestly, I can't be bothered about the intro today. It's there's disappointments, there's frustration, but then there's utter like I feel so down now. Honestly, I've got my man handle here, Johnathan. Jonathan, how do you feel after that match, man? Just in a summary before we go deep into that.
Very disappointed, angry. 1-1. I was disappointed, and then to then lose that game from being 1-0 up in a decent position. We haven't looked great all game, but for me, second half we just weren't good enough. Pulisic was clearly our best attacker. We didn't get him on the ball enough. Sloppy in defence, 2 sloppy goals. Yeah, fuming. I've got the same feeling as you, clearly.
Man, to be honest, I don't think we were even that great in the first half. Overall, I don't think we were great at all. That's how I look at it. I know we're going to go deep into it. I just want to say, Podence and Pedro Neto, I know they're good. They're very good players. Like I've seen Wolves play a couple of times this season already, and they're devastating players. But I don't know. We just played as if it's amateur style against them, and that's what bothers me a lot. Like Neto literally just ripped through us several times, whether it's on the right, whether it's on the left. Podence has the ability to cut in and whip that shot. I mean, what's going on with the players? Like, we had a very subpar performance against Everton. I thought that was uncharacteristic, that, it's just a one-off. We've had a 17-match unbeaten streak. But again, this game, it's this period, December, seems to be, what is it? Like, I don't get it. Like, have you got an explanation around this?
Worst time of the year as well, because the games come thick and fast. I think two things that I'm after watching that game and having a quick think about it, we're clearly missing Ziyech, in my opinion. Those balls into the box, the way that he allows Reece James to overlap. At the moment, Pulisic was playing left wing, he's playing right wing because Werner is clearly not comfortable on the wings at the moment, and we're being found out the fact that we're playing a centre forward on the wing. That's clear to me that we are missing proper wingers, and I just think mentally we don't look in the same place as we did previously. This might be a little bit off cusp, but that Krasnodar game we drew 1-1. We had some really good momentum. We were looking really good. We changed the team completely, which I agree at the right time. I thought it was the right move at the time, but we drew. We didn't look very good, and the poor performance against Everton. Lucky I didn't see that game. I've only seen the highlights. And then tonight, I just think mentally we are really struggling. School taking. Yeah, I'm just looking at that. Yeah, I mean mentally. We just weren't with it tonight, and 2 games in a row now that we've lost. Again, Everton and Wolves are good teams. It's not games we should be turning up and expecting a victory easily. But I just think there's a lot of reasons why we're not doing very well in the last couple of games. And as I said, wingers mentally, the midfield I thought was non-existent at times today. They just, I know they transition really quickly and they counter-attack, but there were times where it was literally just Kante running after them, and you thought, well, where's the rest of the midfield? Why is there so much gap between attack and defence? I think fitness, that's a very good comment from Mark. Yeah, Chilwell looked quite tired as well. There was a cross he overhit.
Both our fullbacks, I wasn't happy with them. Both our fullbacks. James,
we've looked good on the wings this season, and both of them have been fantastic this year, James and Chilwell. But yeah, James, defensively, obviously the penalty that wasn't given, it was clumsy, albeit he didn't touch him. We got found out a little bit defensively today, but yeah, it was. I'm really angry. I'm trying to be concise and it's very frustrating.
You can see it in my face. Like I'm not, let's get into the match just quickly. That's a very good comment there. Wolves second half played for the badge. We didn't play for shit, to be honest. I think it's so true. Wolves definitely pressured us. I didn't want to tweet it out too many times, but I felt throughout that second half, Wolves were the ones that were looking for the win. And I don't know, we were just holding on. Johnathan, let's get into the match, man. Let's go with the lineup. When I saw the lineup, Johnathan, I thought actually that was a good lineup. I thought it was a strong lineup. Giroud up front, back five. This back five, they've been doing so well. All of a sudden, they look starting to look dodgy. And I don't think it's has anything to do with our centre-backs, but in the last few matches, Mendy hasn't been, doing the shot stopping as he generally does in recent times. He's shown us. So that's starting to be a bit of like the clean sheet's a bit of an issue. I'm not going to say Mendy's an issue. Mendy's still a top goalkeeper, but 2 mistakes, Leeds, Everton, today, Podence, and Neto. I really thought Neto's shot could have been negated by Zuma or Mendy because how wide Neto was. Neto was always going to go across. So that's the other thing. Midfield, I thought dynamic, Kante, Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, up front, Werner. So overall looked pretty nice to me, Johnathan. So, and then the game starts, as you said, the midfield. Let's talk about this now. Let's not dwell too much about the lineup. I think both can agree that it was a good lineup. Let's talk about the players that absolutely annoyed the hell out of me in this match. First of all, your boy, Kai Havertz. I know we love him. He's a sensational player, yes. But is it time for Frank Lampard to slowly easing him in? You can clearly see this player is not in the game. He hasn't been in the game since the illness. And it's about time, we let Kovacic sort of start, and then have Kai Havertz come off the bench. What's your sort of thoughts around Kai Havertz?
Yeah, he doesn't look right. He doesn't look confident. He doesn't, when he's got the ball, his touch isn't right. Isn't really right. And yeah, for me, it's just one of those times where you have to just take him out of the limelight. I mean, Lampard did it a few times last year with the younger guys, and he is 21. Remember, new league, and I'm not going to be the first one to tell you about COVID and all these other problems that he's having settling into the league. He's got to be dropped. I wouldn't say dropped, but taken out of the lineup for a couple of games. Yeah. Kovacic is clearly good enough. When he came on, there was a couple of times he drove forward and he looked quite good. And Havertz didn't really do that throughout the game. Yes, he was on the right, and we didn't have much of the play on the right in the first half. But yeah, it was disappointing. I thought both our German signings today were disappointing. I thought Werner was, words to see, because again, he's another one of the guys I love. But yeah, Havertz for me,
his worst performance, honestly. That was the worst I've seen him play.
Yeah, but you can't really drop Werner because of the injuries we've got.
We have no one.
Havertz definitely. Kovacic is there. You can bring him on. We've got 6 odd days or 5 days until the West Ham game. Drop Havertz for a couple of games. Maybe give him until the Arsenal game or the Aston Villa game.
I'm worried about the West Ham game. I really am.
Well, they've shown this season they can score goals against good teams. They turned up last year, beat us 1-0. They're not going to be scared of us. And the way they can sit and soak up pressure, just like Wolves did today. As someone said in the comments, we looked like we lacked energy and fitness. And the more the game went on, the more they grew in confidence, the more they grew in energy. And with the wide players, like you said, Neto and Podence, they just were running at us with will. And I think the Zuma goal, the Zuma, I'd say mistake for that Neto goal, because for me, as you said, he's quite wide, Neto, sort of on the edge of the area. You've got to push him wider, because he's not probably going to cut him because he's left-footed. So he's going to take the shot on. Push him as wide as you can. Get close to him. He's sat off, and just let him shoot. And it's across the goal. You can't say that Mendy's got to save that. So, both goals were sloppy. The first one, we can talk about it not being a corner. But at the end of the day, we had so many chances to get rid of that ball and get a block in and get tighter to Podence. I know it's come off of Reece's arse and Mendy's got a touch on it, but it's little things all these things are creeping into our game right now, and we're paying the price.
We're going to touch on the goals a bit later on. We've talked about Kai Havertz and how he needs to be sort of eased into it, as you said, probably not drop, but probably from the bench. Let him sort of find his speed. Let's talk about Timo Werner. Timo Werner, for me, I know we've touched a little bit, but he hasn't been good for me for quite a bit of time now, stretching back to probably for the past 4 or 5 games at least. Yes, there's been times where even when he hasn't been bad, he comes up strong and he gets himself an assist. He's done that against Newcastle. He's done that against Leeds as well. But his overall game, especially today, I get it. Wing is not his natural position, Johnathan. I get that. Everyone says that. But you still need to do the basic things right. Your first touch is poor. There was a nice cross from Reece James that fell right on the far post for Timo Werner, unmarked in the second half. I think the score was 1-0 or maybe 1-1 at that point. He had the opportunity to handle it, compose himself, and smash it in. But his first touch let him go again, and the ball trickled off and went out for a goal kick. And then throughout the match, every time he tries to take a player on, he can't take a player on. He simply cannot. Yes, we saw him against Newcastle, how he has the space and then he has the space to drive. He generally needs that space. He needs that at least 2-3 yards where he can run in. Whenever it's sort of like, as you saw, Pulisic, and we'll get to that as well. Pulisic is so great one-on-one. Werner is not that. And I feel like if you're not good at that kind of stuff, just be better at other things. Your passing needs to be crisper. Just get involved in the match a little bit. Drop deep. Do whatever it needs to be so that you're getting involved. It's what you said, Johnathan. We can't even drop, Werner. We can't even play him in the middle. What can we do now? Like, I mean, West Ham game's so soon. It's probably going to be again Timo Werner in the wings and Tammy Abraham probably up front, or maybe Giroud up front because he scored. What else could we do? Could he possibly just play in the middle and I don't know, maybe just play Tino Angelin and Pulisic in the wings?
Possibly. Could we see a change of formation? I'm someone that's advocated for having a style and have a formation that we need to stick to and make sure that teams know that, that is our style and we're going to continue with it whatever happens. But yeah, I think Werner even needs to be dropped or play centre forward. Can we do it? As we've said, I'm not really quite sure. Can we maybe go 4-4-2 or play like a number 10 in behind and have two strikers, Giroud and Abraham? I don't know. Lampard's got to come up with something. I'm glad I'm not him because those two defeats in such quick succession with two really poor performances, questions have got to be asked of him, and he's got to come up with something now. We've got to react against West Ham next week. We should have reacted today. We didn't. We've now got to react against West Ham because 2 games in a row now we haven't been good enough. If it continues, it's just going to become a blip. And we've seen with teams like Arsenal, once you get into a rut, it's very hard to get out of it. So, for me, Werner playing centre forward or change the formation. As much as I think we can't drop him, we've got to play him left wing. The more I think about it, the more I think, no, I just can't have him out on the wing anymore. We look quite good with Ziyech on the right. Werner and Giroud, Abraham, we looked, quite good. You had Pulisic in when he's fit. We look really good, but Pulisic at times there in the second half. Obviously, we'll get onto him. Didn't get the ball enough. Werner, as you say, just didn't come.
Let's talk about Pulisic.
Pulisic, for me, first half, he wanted to run at the defence. And I said in one of my tweets earlier today that if you run at the Wolves defence, that's when you can cause problems. And he did it a few times. And on the left, I thought him, Chilwell and Mount, connected quite well in the first half. But then second half, we just decided we're not going to pass the ball to him. He wasn't coming to look for it enough either. And Werner and Pulisic were almost just bystanders. And then Giroud and Abraham were trying to get involved. And because you've not got anyone else, in and around the centre forward, it's very hard for them to get involved. So Pulisic, clearly was the one with the most intent and was trying, but he didn't get enough of the ball in the second half, especially.
No, absolutely right. First half, for me, he was the only creator. He was the only one that was doing anything remotely dangerous to cause havoc because everything else was just going to be crosses into the box from our fullbacks. He was the only one who was trying to look to cut in. There was nothing from Havertz trying to do that kind of stuff. I was expecting Havertz to be, because he's in midfield, I just thought that he would have the ability to find those really nice, neat passes from the middle or perhaps go a little bit wide and then come cut in. He didn't do any of that. Pulisic was the only one. But as you said, second half, Pulisic as well sort of died. Whether that has to do with something with fitness, I know Mark sort of mentioned we look dead in terms of fitness, which I don't get it. A lot of these players had Krasnodar game off. And since then, I think they played Leeds. They had a bit of break until they played, who did we play last? Everton. This was the only game that has happened very, very quick. But they should be fresh, knowing that we've had a few games where there's been rotation, especially the Krasnodar one. But overall, the second half, just quickly on the goals again, Johnathan, for me, as you said, the first goal from Podence, ricochet off Reece. I don't know, man. Like, it really, that shot shouldn't have been taken in that close range. We should have, blocked that off. Okay, nonetheless, good goal. But the second one, man, for me, Zuma just held on, allowed for Neto to really zero in a nice shot. And for me, Mendy as well, I don't know, that's why you pay the money, right? You want to get those sort of stops in key moments. We've always complained about Kepa, and I don't want to make it into a Kepa versus Mendy thing. It's not that, but I felt like that should have been stopped. In regards to now looking into the West Ham game, we've kind of talked about almost everything in this particular match. Overall, disappointing the energy and whatnot, and especially second half. West Ham, Johnathan, what do we got to do, man? What needs to happen? Because this could very much turn into a decline.
Yeah, Lampard has to get them to refocus. And as I said, maybe he's got to change the formation because of the players we've got available. We're clearly missing our, having fit wingers and having options. Because when you looked at the bench today, okay, yes, we have Abraham we can bring on. Yes, we have Kovacic we can bring on. But there's no third player that's going to bring a bit of pace and creativity. And that was what we lacked today. We lacked a bit of something different, something like Ziyech. As I say, I know I've said him before, but we lacked someone that's going to make that ball, that's going to make that gamble. And as I said, James didn't overlap enough. Pulisic wants to come inside. Werner wants to come inside. And we were just left with a non-existent midfield at times. We were left with a non-existent attack. And the defence, we were just causing more and more pressure on the defence, which, today did crumble at times. I mean, we didn't, in terms of the goals, we didn't put our bodies in the way for the first one. The second one, Zuba's not done well enough. We were attacking 10 seconds later, Neto scored. So, for me, Lampard has got to, that is clearly our best defence, so he's got to stick with that. But he's got to do something different in the midfield. Probably bring Kovacic in, and with the strikers and the wingers, he's got to do something about that. Because I can't see Werner on the wing again. And we've got to refocus. Lampard's got to get them mentally focused, because I don't know if it's mental fatigue, if it's something to do with us lacking confidence because of the Everton game. And, once Wolves scored, they just, as I said, they built in confidence and we seemed to lack. And the longer the game went on, we just looked like the team that was going to lose. Are you surprised, Johnathan, that the lack of creativity that we have? I know Ziyech, I've been saying it all week since the Everton game that I've always knew without Ziyech, that we lack a lot of creativity, and now we're realizing how important Ziyech is to this attacking play for us. But are you a little bit surprised that we just don't have enough creation in the middle, and it all seems to be just crosses? Even our goal today for Giroud was a cross from Chilwell. Do you feel like, is that what Frank's sort of wanting, or do we not have any creators besides Ziyech? Today it didn't really look like it, did it? I mean, Mount in the first half did try. I can't really blame him too much. I think Kante was clearly one of the better players. Him and Pulisic were the two that really, for me, tried to make a difference. And that's the thing. We scored a fantastic goal, a great cross in from Chilwell, fantastic finish from Giroud. But we're not talking about that because of our poor defensive, or two, I think, poor defensive errors, in my opinion. And the fact that we just lack confidence. And I think for me, 2 games in a row we haven't looked good. Lampard, yes, he's lacking options, but you've got to make subs that change the game. Wolves made a couple of really good subs. They brought Traore on, which, in my opinion, that's an attacking substitution.
True.
He occupied. I mean, there's at one point where there was 4 defenders or 4 players trying to. So that then gives Podence and Neto even more space because they were so occupied.
This is spot on. Yeah,
I'd say with Neto and Podence on the pitch, everyone talks about how good Jota was, but those 2 guys are more than capable of playing for a better team as well. So for me, we don't change the game enough with under Lampard. For me, I'm not blaming him completely because players on the pitch didn't do enough, and it was at times very, very pedestrian and disappointing today. But Lampard's got to do more. You've got to react to what happens in game. If you've got to change the style, if you've got to change formation or give some certain instruction. I mean, maybe if you bring Gilmore on, we were able to keep possession of the ball a little bit more, or Jorginho, let's say, keep possession of the ball because it was back and back
end to end. It was end to
end. And we needed to go, right, it's 1-1. We're not in the best form right now. We need to try and control the game, slow it down because they're enjoying the quick tempo, the quick possession.
They were.
We need to slow it down and go, right, let's get our foot on the ball. Let's get the ball out wide. Let's get Pulisic and Werner involved. Get Abraham, in the box because he kept trying to drop deep. And instead of doing that, we just, we don't. Okay, Kovacic, does try. He's trying to make the forward runs, but that's where, for me, Lampard does annoy me. And again, I'm not anti-Lampard. I'm not anti-Chelsea because it's 2 bad performances. We haven't had that many this year. We're still 3 points at the moment off of top. So it's not a crisis.
Do you reckon we're out of title contention?
It's not a crisis. I wouldn't say that's the thing. Is it's so unpredictable this year. Tottenham have got Liverpool. That's a draw, or one of them loses, and we're still 3-4 points off the top. So it's tough because I'm really angry at that performance. And luckily, as I said, I didn't watch the Everton game because I would have been even more annoyed. But it's very easy because the games are coming thick and fast. It can go two ways. We can either continue this rut, or we can react against West Ham at home, get a couple of goals, get some confidence, and then we go into the Arsenal game, who again are looking awful. We can go there and put a performance on the Emirates, and then suddenly, if we can get 6 points out of the next 6, everything changes again, and it's Chelsea are title challengers. It's too up and down for me. The fan base and the media, we're title challengers, we're rubbish. We're title challengers, we're rubbish, and it's just going to continue all season. And I get why Lampard's playing it down, and I get why. He's not being too boyish and confident in the media, but behind closed doors, he's got to be saying to these players, we've got a great squad. We need to have the right mentality. This year, the league is open. Come on. We've got to make a challenge, even if you don't say it publicly, but privately, we've got to get these players firing and making some changes and showing the players that, every place is up for grabs. Chilwell look tired. Maybe bring Emerson in against West Ham. I'm not advocating mass changes, but we've got to change something.
Absolutely.
So Havertz and Werner for me are two of the ones that you've got to look at possibly dropping.
Yeah, look, man. I know we were running out of time. I've got one big question for you just before we wrap things up. But I do want to harp on the point that you've made that Nuno Santos, he made some really, really good changes. It's a very good point that you've said. Adama Traore, when he came in, he became the centre point, and everyone sort of stuck to him and allowed Podence and Neto all that space. We didn't have that impact. We just simply could not have that impact where we could do that. One last question that I want to ask you before wrapping things up. Do we need to buy someone in January for this squad? Because it seems like, we've got our wingers that seem to be a bit too injury prone. Sometimes we lack that little bit of creativity as well. Havertz and Werner are not clicking at the moment. This December period till about sort of middle of January is heavy in fixtures. Forget about title contendership. I know you're saying that as well. Frank Lampard has been saying it in media that we're probably not, as great as we've looked, and we're not as bad as we think we are. We're somewhere in the middle. But having said that, I think top 4 is a bare minimum of this particular team. Top 4 is a bare minimum if we're not winning the title. Do you think, with all the competition that's in and around in the Premier League at the moment, we need some sort of reinforcement in January?
I think if the right target became available, clearly Chelsea are being very concise and direct in who we're buying. It's obviously the summer transfer window was a good example of that. I think if someone becomes available, that is worth us buying for the long term. I think Chelsea will go after them, but I don't think we're going to go out under Lampard and go, we want this, we want that. Because yes, I think having another winger wouldn't be the end of the world, because yes, we have had a lot of injuries, and you've got to take Werner out of being a possible left winger for me. So you've got Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi and Ziyech. So that's 3 and a half one under Werner and half one under Havertz. But as you see with the schedule, with the injuries, with the fact that you need to keep players fresh, having another winger wouldn't be a bad idea. If one becomes available for the right price, that actually adds quality. I don't want a 4th winger that's just going to be on the bench to play when these guys are injured. I want one that is going to contest. And it seems to me that we've got quite a settled 11 in the sense that we know who's going to play. We need to up, the challenge again and the competition, because I don't want players to get a little bit too content and, thinking that they're going to play every game. Because at the moment, we are struggling and we do need to do better. Lampard does need to do something. But we are in the middle, like you said. I think top 4's a bare minimum. I think 3rd at least. I think Tottenham will eventually drop off. If they get one injury, they're screwed.
I hope so.
Liverpool and Man City will be up there for me. So it's the top 4. Tottenham will be in that. Obviously, Man United will compete as well. But for me, it's we keep changing. Everyone keeps changing the goalposts with Chelsea this year on a few performances. We've got to look at the season as a whole. We can't react as much as we want to, and I'm angry at this performance. I don't want to react too much because we are still in a good position. We've got a fantastic squad, and we are going to have a good future under Lampard. But it's tough to say that right now.
Yeah, look, man, for me, my final words would be is that you haven't watched the Everton game. I watched the Everton game. That was very, very uncharacteristic of us. That was very poor, the way we played. But I just thought, you know what? I'll give them a leeway on this because we've been doing well. We've now backed it up with another subpar performance. This is where my issue is that, this becomes a disease and we need to cut it out. West Ham game has to be a reaction, a big reaction. Everyone since the Everton game till now has been subpar. In midfield, we've been subpar. As you said, Kante is probably the only one that's been doing all right. But even Kante's second half this game probably wasn't the best, where Pedro Neto was running past him quite a few times, and Podence as well. But yeah, man, overall, I just hope that we just get out of this particular rut and get back onto it. And yeah, I think, as you said, if someone is available in January just to help us out throughout this moment, because I don't know, man, Kalamatanador and Ziyech and Pulisic, I just don't have enough confidence in them that they're going to be fit throughout. So yeah, guys, that pretty much wraps it up. I know it's a disappointing game, disappointing end. Johnathan, thank you so much for coming in and doing this for us. And thank you to each and every one of you guys who's been coming in and coming out throughout this particular session. Please take the opportunity to smash that like button. It helps me out a lot, helps the channel out a lot. And yeah, leave your thoughts about this particular game and whatnot. And yeah, if you're here for the first time, subscribe and hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Until next time, Johnathan, I'll see you around, my man.
Take care. See ya.